my kids got their back to school today.
Oh, yeah? What's the plan?
And I'm going to lay it out for you because there's parents all over this country probably who are waiting for their school's plan if they don't have it. So here's ours. If your last name starts with A through, I believe, L, you go Monday, Tuesday, and every other Wednesday.
Oh.
If you're L through Z or whatever it is, you go Thursday, Friday, and every other Wednesday. So now think about this. If your parents, if you're two teachers, you don't have you're there 5 days a week. And now you have, let's say, a 13 or 12-year-old and under home 3 days a week. How do they think parents are going to make that work?
It makes no sense. It makes zero sense.
It makes so little sense to me to think that the kids who go on Monday, Tuesday are not hanging with the kids on Thursday, Friday, or on the Wednesday or on the weekend. Like, how possibly do you think this is going to be so effective in somehow keeping down whatever infections would even be possible, which would be probably less than a normal flu season with all the kids just going to school regularly?
Right. Yeah, it's insane because, again, you make a great point. We've talked about it before. The kids, they don't make friends based on the last initial of their name. So if you've got, Johnny Dawkins over here and he's friends with, Andrew Weiner over there, guess what? And they're hanging out every day. Eventually, everything's going to be coming into contact with each other. So I don't get what their thinking is. Like, it doesn't make sense.
There's no logical explanation for it at all. They're not. There's no. Do you know how many cases? The next case of student transmitting disease to teacher around the world. Do you know how many there are?
One.
No,
I heard it was zero.
It is
Zero.
Not one.
Yeah.
There's not one yet. Not one.
They'll manufacture one soon enough.
But they're going to have 3 days out of the week, you're going to have your kids home. And most parents these days both have to work.
And they're stuck with the same kids every single day. It's like ride or die with those, with those kids from 8L, and they don't bounce around from this class to gym class. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. There's no way to socially interact and grow. That's the best part of school.
And they're not even going to do it with elementary school kids. They're going to have the same schedule, A, B, and then C. So think about it. If you've got young kids, both, let's say, 5th grade and 3rd grade, how do you what do you do?
Who's taking off? Who's quitting their job?
Right. Who's quitting their job, in essence, to be able to be home with the kids? You can't leave them home alone at that age.
Well, with all the commercial property that's gone out of business, maybe we could start a COVID-friendly daycare center.
It really is
viable.
It's just something. We got to get Phil Kerpen back on the show too to talk about this because.
And another thing out there, too, is that people don't realize that when the lockdown first happened, there were still people that had to go to work, And what did they do with their kids? They went to a rec center. I believe there was a YMCA or a bunch of them that were set up, and all these kids were hanging out there. How is that any different from school?
It's not.
It's not. They were all hanging out there because their parents had to go to work. It's the same thing. And another thing I'm hearing, too, is that again, this is, okay, conspiracy theory. Get ready, Paul. They want to keep the schools closed because if the schools are closed, that cuts down on the voting places.
Wow.
If they're closed, well, you can't set it up as a voting place for people to go. So they have to do by mail.
Oh, boy. Wow. Well, it makes some sense if, this is as politicized as we believe it is. But the good news is here in New York, at least we have Gates and Cuomo reimagining the curriculum. So you guys have that to look forward to.
The data just does not support this extreme. No. It just doesn't. It doesn't. And they're just playing into the fear that the media continues to push. And Fauci continues to push.
And D, when you say something like that, you're going to hear some Karen is going to say, don't you know my cousin's uncle died from this? He was 400 pounds. He smoked. He had emphysema. Like.
Yeah, and what are you trying to tell us? He was still in the 5th grade. That's why he got, like, what's the point?
Right.
That makes no sense. Kids are very healthy. As a matter of fact, I heard one doctor saying that it could be the reason why kids are so healthy against this virus is something in their DNA, in the way they fight viruses that have actually helped keep those teachers healthy from not spreading it to them. So they could actually be something protecting you.
I mean,
wow.
When you look at the numbers of the flu every season on bad flu seasons, there is no logical way to explain why they're not just sending the kids back to school. If there's teachers who think they fall in a high, they're very vulnerable for whatever the reason, there's underlying conditions, then absolutely there should be something worked out, and there could be something worked out. But if you're a 20, 30, 40-year-old teacher, 50-year-old teacher, realistically healthy, kids, what's the rate of death of 18-year-olds and under? I haven't updated it, but I've had these lists. They're minuscule numbers.
Yeah.
More have died this year, I believe, in the same time frame from pneumonia and
the flu
than have died from COVID-19 this year.
And now suicide. Suicide really is in that age group.
Redfield talked about it today.
Yeah, teen suicide has tripled last I saw.
And the reporting on child abuse, which most of it comes from schools, they find out about it and then they report it, is way off. Redfield was talking about that as well today.